Welcome back to the Sports News Analysis YouTube page. I'll be previewing every game here in Week 15 in the NFL, so be sure to subscribe to my page. The Chicago Bears will host the Green Bay Packers this week in an NFC North showdown. The Packers come in with a record of 9-4 by virtue of their win last week versus the Lions on Sunday Night Football, while the Bears come in at 8-5 after a disappointing loss last week to the Minnesota Vikings. Huge game for both teams, okay? The Packers come in with a record of 9-4 on top of the division. Chicago one game behind at 8-5. If Chicago has any aspirations of winning the division, this is obviously with 3 games left to play, a game that they must have. And also from a wild card standpoint, Chicago sits now at 8-5. So they're now tied with the Seahawks, both holding wild card positions as of now. They lose the tiebreaker with the Seahawks, having lost to them head-to-head. And with that loss by Chicago did last week, is it now brings the Minnesotas of the world, the Cowboys, the Redskins, and maybe even an outside shot, the Rams. It brings those 6-loss teams back in the fold now as far as a wild card position goes. The Packers, 9-4, right? They can go one of two ways here. They can improve to 10-4 and all but wrap up the division because they'll be up two games with 2 to go. Or if they lose, now they're back to the pack. Now they're tied with Chicago, and now the NFC playoff picture could potentially become a disaster. So a huge game for both teams. The Bears, obviously you want to monitor this week. You want to monitor the status of Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler left the game last week in the fourth quarter with a stiff neck. The Bears are not unlike any other team in the NFL in that if Cutler goes down, they go from being a playoff caliber team to just an average team. We saw that at the end of the season last year. We saw it in the game Cutler missed earlier this season. So again, make sure up until game time, if he is a game time decision or they announce it early, you're monitoring the status of Cutler. As far as the Packers go, it's my personal feeling here. I think we're seeing them round into shape like they did 2 years ago. Some of the parallels I see, first and foremost, is the presence of a running game. You saw last week them get the running game going. If you're on Twitter or you're on any of these other social medias, that's definitely the main focus of everyone watching that game was, since when did the Packers run the ball? Well, if the Packers have the running backs at their disposal to do work and to be productive, they'll run the ball. Okay, but when you have Aaron Rodgers as the substitute for that, it's the matter of sticking to the run. If the run's not working, they're going to get off it and they're going to throw the ball all over the lot because they have the capability to. But when the Packers are running the ball and as they get their injured players back healthy, which is another similarity to 2 years ago, this is a very banged up team that's had to play a lot of players, that has been without Jordy Nelson at times, that has been without Greg Jennings at times, the most dependable weapons that Aaron Rodgers has. And what have you seen develop? You've seen mostly the development of Randall Cobb. So now when you get Jordy Nelson back and you get Greg Jennings back, now you'll have Jennings, Nelson, Cobb, Jermichael Finley, and James Jones all ready to go, and maybe even an improved running game. So I see that sort of taking shape here for the Packers as we head down the stretch, and I really expect them to take off here the last 3 games of the regular season and then into the playoffs. As far as the Bears go, I think they're going to be in a dogfight right till the end for the wild card. I think they're going to eventually be in the competition for that second wild card spot. I only say that because the Seahawks have the tiebreaker over them and a much easier schedule in the last 3 games here. And I know on these previews a lot I talk about schedule, but you know, with the caliber of teams the Seahawks have left to play, you would think that they'll run the table here to close out the season. I know nothing's ever a given in the NFL, but if you're looking at it from a prediction standpoint, the Bears are going to have a tough time in this game and have 2 tough games to close out the season. So we'll see how that situation progresses. Jay Cutler's injury is certainly worth monitoring because now if Jay Cutler doesn't play, Brandon Marshall's been the Bears' best player this year. Does that affect Brandon Marshall's ability to get open? Also with Matt Forte, if Matt Forte is the focal point of the defense because they know Jason Campbell can't hurt them. How does that hurt Matt Forte? So the injury of Cutler just has a complete trickle-down effect on what the Bears try to do on the offensive side. And then I didn't even get into yet the absence of Urlacher and how that obviously hurt the Bears last week versus the run. 150 yards plus 2 touchdowns for Adrian Peterson. So right now, Green Bay is a 3-point favorite on the road in Chicago. Right now, I like Green Bay minus the 3 on the road in Chicago. I know this is a division game, and sometimes you can throw the records out when division games take place. Green Bay's played well against Chicago lately. They're going to walk into Soldier Field. They're not going to be intimidated, so that's not going to be a factor. And I just think with the Bears' injuries mounting and Green Bay's injuries injury situation getting better, I just think this is the point in the season where Green Bay takes off, Chicago takes a step back. So I like Green Bay minus 3 on the road in Chicago. Again, be sure to check out all my other previews. Thanks, guys.